What's up, everybody? So today I want to review Batman Under the Red Hood. Oh, such a great book. And this one is by Judd Winnick, Doug Mahnke, and Shane Davis. Great book. Great book. It's in the DC Compact comic format, which, if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know how big of a fan I am of these DC Compact comics. I absolutely love them. I say it every time. I'm going to continue to say it. Can't get enough of these DC Compact comics. They are fantastic. And yeah, let's just jump right into the stat sheet. All right, so today we have Batman Under the Red Hood, and the format is the DC Compact Comics format. Absolutely love this format. I highly recommend it. Such a great deal, such a great value, and the paper quality, everything. I love everything about it. It's phenomenal. The page count for this is 384 pages, so this is quite a chunky comic, which is great because you feel like you're getting a lot of value for how big the comic is and what you're paying for it, which the retail price, like all DC compacts, is $9.99. So $10 for a comic with 384 pages. Oh man, what a steal. You can't go wrong there. Absolutely amazing. Great job, DC. So, now let's talk about the spoiler-free review. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick overview of everything going on in here. We're going to save like all the nitty-gritty details for the spoiler version, but spoiler-free. I will say this is a story that centers mostly around Batman and the Red Hood. There are some other characters that come into play here, such as the Black Mask and some other heroes that kind of help out along Batman's journey throughout this storyline. But mostly the two main hitters are Batman and the Red Hood. So in this, the Red Hood makes his appearance in Gotham. He starts causing commotion and chaos in the city. He's killing like these drug dealers and these crime lords, and he just basically starts running roughshod in Gotham. But he's also not only targeting the criminal aspect of Gotham, he also seems to be targeting Batman. And that is pretty much all I will say about this particular storyline. I'll save the rest for the spoilers. I don't want to go too in depth in the spoiler free version, but I will say right out the gate, this is an 8 out of 10 book. And it would be a 10 out of 10 book, an absolute masterpiece, had it not been for the very last issue, for the ending of this book. Now, there are two other issues added in here. I believe there is an annual. Let's see. There was an annual and another issue added in the book, so that is kind of like it adds to the storyline but not the ending. It kind of helps fill out some of the gaps in the middle of the story and certain questions that you may have about the Red Hood and how he came to be, but it does not really change the ending whatsoever. So the ending is what just totally took me out of it. But even with that being said, this is an 8 out of 10, a strong 8 out of 10. The action in this is incredible. From the very first pages, you are thrown into action. This is like the quintessential example of when I say I want action and fight scenes in a comic book, and some comic books that lack that should take a page out of this story right here. There was so much action. There was great build up to fights, and then when these fights happened, it was satisfying. They went on for a while. The fight scenes were drawn out. There were several panels, several pages, all this action, and oh, it was drawn beautifully. It was amazing. So everything from the action, the pacing, the characters involved, the artwork, it was phenomenal. A home run. A literal masterpiece. Had the ending just been different. But I digress. I will leave it here for the spoiler-free review. This is an 8 out of 10. A solid, strong 8 out of 10. Easily. Easily. But now, I want to jump into the spoiler section. So let's get right to it. Okay. So, for the spoiler review, we're gonna cut to the meat and potatoes of this. We're gonna just tell you up front, Jason Todd is the Red Hood. If you had no idea, that's it. That's the big reveal. But me, even before I read this story, I knew through other media that the Red Hood was Jason Todd. Now, I didn't know how he became the Red Hood. I didn't know. I just knew the basics. I just knew the brief overview of the character and who he was. This book, at the very end, this is the only set of spoilers I'm going to talk about, really. It's going to focus solely on the ending. So this spoiler review is not going to really cover too much about the plot with, like, the Black Mask and with, like, Nightwing or Deathstroke or all these other character appearances that happen in this storyline. It's really just going to focus on just the ending. So I want to say that up front. The ending is Jason Todd, who was killed by the Joker in Death in the Family, right? Not Death of the Family, but Death in the Family. So Joker had killed Jason Todd in that storyline. Well, Jason Todd gets brought back. And the way they explain that he's brought back, oh man, take it or leave it for me. At that point, you get Superboy punching a hole in reality or distorting reality. Look, I mean, I'm not a fan of all, like, that timey-wimey multiverse stuff, and I think they were doing it because they were restarting the DC DC Comics line, so that was the explanation for that. It just seemed like, you know what, the Lazarus Pit was also mentioned. I think if you just would have stuck to that explanation, that would have been a little bit better and a little bit easier for me to wrap my head around and understand, and not just understand, but kind of be logically okay with, because we know that that's what happens in the Batman universe with Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you say his name. So yeah, I would have been able to kind of forgive that a little bit, but yeah, it's one of those things where I was kind of taken out of it. I was taken back from it, but not a big deal. The ending itself is what really, really, really gets me. In this book, I am basically rooting for Jason Todd and Batman throughout it. When that stops is the very last issue. I am no longer rooting for Batman. They do this whole thing where throughout the entire storyline, Bruce Wayne, Batman, he is dealing with these heavy burdens of people that he has loved and lost and seen get hurt or injured, and he feels responsible. And this whole time he's lamenting it, and he's wishing that, you know, he could change it. So he feels this guilt and this shame. He has the chance to actually do the right thing and make things right and actually do this change that he is thinking about. Jason Todd has cornered the Joker and Batman in this abandoned warehouse, basically. And Jason is like, hey, look, you're going to have to make a choice. Someone's going to die here tonight. You're either going to kill the Joker or you're going to kill me because I'm going to kill the Joker. After all of this, after an entire story run where Batman is just guilt-stricken over the loss of Jason Todd and the loss of the newest Robin, the girl that filled in for Robin, that became the Robin, all this, and Barbara getting hurt and being, you know, assigned to a wheelchair now because, you know, she got injured. This is the moment. This is the moment where you're thinking Batman has the chance to kind of not redeem himself, but find some sort of peace in knowing that if he does have to make the hard call, the hard decision again, he does the right thing. Here's what I didn't like. He chose to kill Jason Todd. After all of this, it made no sense for the character itself, for Batman. At this point, I was rooting for Jason Todd. I was like, you know what? I hope he kills Batman. I hope he kills everybody in Gotham. Because at this point, it just seemed so weird. Such a weird character choice for Batman to be like, oh, we're here at the exact moment that I had wished I had changed in the past, and now we are here again, and he does nothing to change it, to stop the Joker. What I wanted to see was him stopping both Jason Todd and the Joker. and doing things his own way, which seems very Batman-esque. But that doesn't happen. He kills Jason Todd to stop Todd from killing the Joker. Honestly, I would have preferred if he just killed the Joker, but he goes on this long diatribe about, oh, I can't kill the Joker. If I let that happen, I would slip down this path and I would never be able to come back. And even Jason was like, yo, dude, this is crazy. All of you heroes are the same with that whole, I can't kill. If I killed, I would never come back. He's like, I'm not asking you to kill Clayface. I'm not asking you to kill Scarecrow or anyone else. I'm talking about the Joker. The amount of lives you would save by just getting rid of the Joker, removing him from this world. There would be countless innocents that you could protect just by doing this one thing. Look, I didn't even want him to kill the Joker, but at this point, if it's one or the other, kill the Joker. Why pick Jason Todd? That made no sense to me. That was I don't know. I dropped the score 2 whole points just because of this one issue. If this one issue would have stuck the landing, this is clearly a masterpiece. This book is so strong, even with how terrible this ending was. Brother, it's still an 8 out of 10, a strong 8 out of 10, because everything else carries it. The art, the characters, the action, the pacing, the fight scenes. This is what I want. I am going to forever compare other books to the fight scenes in this storyline, because it is amazing. You get build-ups to these fights, and these fights actually happen and play out. And you're seeing the motions of each fight, the choreography of this battle. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And the artwork, this is the type of art I think about when I think of comic book art. It is like the quintessential style of comic book art. Like, this is the type of art I want to see from comic books. I know that there's a wide variety, but this is like one of the art styles that it comes to my mind. I think this is the color palette. This is the line work. This is the cleanliness I want to see. Everything is drawn so well in this that the art itself is easy to read. I can't tell you a single scene where I couldn't make out what was happening because everything was just so clean. It was easy to read. Everything popped. The color palette was beautiful. I can't say enough about the art. I can't say enough about the storyline. The literal only issue, the single issue I have with this is the ending. The Black Mask was fantastic in this. I think he added just enough humor and sarcasm, and he was a perfect antagonist. He was great. Loved seeing him in it. I loved the cameos that were made from other characters like Nightwing and Mr. Freeze, and you got all these others. Deathstroke is in there. Brother, this was so good. So good. So whose decision was it to write this ending and then ship it out like that? That's crazy to me. And whoever read this when it came out, like, I'm reading it in the compact format, so I know this story has got some years to it probably. What did you think? Like, if you've stayed for this spoiler version of the review, you must have already read the storyline, so I have got to know. What did you think? What did you feel when you read this ending to this story? I mean, it's crazy. So not only does he kill Jason Todd or wound him so severely that he might as well be dead, but then he basically frees the Joker from the grasp of Jason Todd, and the Joker picks up a gun, points it at like this propane barrel or this gas barrel or whatever it is, and he explodes the warehouse, seemingly killing not only himself, but Jason Todd if he wasn't already dead, and Batman. Talk about a terrible decision to make. Kill the Joker. Kill the Joker. Or even better yet, be the Batman that we know you are and stop both of them from getting what they want because it's not the right thing. Batman makes the impossible possible. He's just a guy, and yet he constantly goes up against heroes and villains and all of these odds that are seemingly unsurmountable. You mean to tell me he can't find a way with his Batmobile, his helicopter, whatever, all his gadgets, all of his tech, all of his brain power and all of his skills and abilities, he can't find a way to stop both of these guys? Both of these dudes? It blew my mind. It blew my mind. I don't understand this story's ending whatsoever and why this was chosen. And then after that, you get two more issues. One of the issues explains how Jason Todd came back from the dead, which it goes back to that whole Superboy thing where he like breaks reality. I just don't really like stuff like that. Like, use the Lazarus Pit, make that the whole thing. That would have been a little bit easier to like come to terms with. And then the other one was like the first time that Jason Todd met Batman again after coming back from the dead. That was a good story. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. But I don't know, man. There's just a lot of things about this that I absolutely loved. And the only tarnish, the only, stain on this whole story was the very, very ending. But other than that, what a phenomenal book. Phenomenal story, phenomenal characters, phenomenal art, everything. Everything was beautiful. It was. I can't say enough good things about it. Like I said, I'm going to start comparing other fight scenes to this book because up to date from what I have read, this is it. This is, brother, this is what I want. This is the kind of action and pacing and intensity I want to see in comics, especially when it leads up to battles. If you've seen one of my previous reviews, I talk about the Black Panther, A Nation Under Our Feet from the Marvel Premiere Collection. That story was great up to a certain point, but then the last climactic battle was so terribly done, so lackluster, that I dropped it a few points because it was like the payoff. The payoff was supposed to be that moment. It was supposed to be leading to this. The culmination was right there, and the battle was terrible. And you're thinking, brother, this is what it was all coming down to. Why do you drop the ball here? So if Black Panther would have had fight scenes in that climactic battle like Under the Red Hood, I guarantee you Black Panther to me would have been a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Fantastic. So this book will now become a staple to which I weigh a lot of other books against it when it comes to the action and the pacing and the intensity of the book and the art. Just that comic book style art. That is what I think of when I think of comics. That's the art that flashes in my brain. I'm telling you, I can't say enough good things about it. I just wish they would have stuck the landing. And apart from me, like, continuously repeating myself and being redundant at this point, I just gotta say, if they would have stuck the landing, 10 out of 10, this is an instant masterpiece. Even without the ending being sticking the landing, great book. I highly recommend reading it and maybe recommend adding it to your library. Had the ending been just perfectly done, yeah, it would have been a must own, must read. This one is definitely a must read, but if you're a Batman fan, it's a must own. If not, I don't know, but it's definitely still a must read. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to quit yapping. Loved the book. Really enjoyed it. Again, 8 out of 10 score. It's phenomenal. Check it out. I highly recommend it. Again, do you want to own it? Do you want to buy it? Or do you want to read it online digitally? If you've got DC Infinite, read it online digitally if you don't want to own it. But yeah, 8 out of 10. Phenomenal book. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you stuck around this long, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Leave a like, comment. I want to hear your thoughts on it. What did you think of that ending? That was my whole spoiler review. So, it just focused on the ending. I couldn't help it. That's the one thing that threw me through a loop. But yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.